I'm just curious how much land you have here.
So it's a 120 acre farm. We bought a little over 40
Okay.
for right now. So we've had some adventure.
I bet.
These windows that you see here, we've had 2 hailstorms in less than a year. So we've actually redone all the buildings, and then a week after they moved out, we got to redo it again. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's why the barn windows are shot. But yeah, so we have lots of different critters. This is our auction pile. We just went to an auction and bought an old windmill because we want to resurrect that, and some lawn ornaments. So yeah, so this farm, it was corn and soybeans just like that over there. And so last year we put in like two different crops, 2 mixes of cover crops, and then we took those off for feed to try to help build the soil. We ran a bunch of pigs through here, which we can kind of keep walking. And then this spring we seeded down the majority of the farm, and we're doing different grazing techniques to essentially stimulate the soil biology and also build our soil and take care of the soil. So like right here, the pigs were here this spring, that's why it's a little bit weedy, but then over there you can see where all the sunflowers, sorghum Sudan, clovers, that is like a 20-way mix that I seeded through there. And so then you have a lot of diversity, and this is actually the second round of sunflowers that are coming through.
For the season?
For the season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we took the pigs through there, then I immediately came back and seeded, just hand seeded that, and it exploded. Mostly because there's lots of nutrients there. So then to wrap around this, we planted a 7-acre basically pollinator mix. So this was all sunflowers, oats, buckwheat, and then, you know, that bloomed in July. We took a bunch of family photos and had friends come out, cut a lot of sunflowers, gave them to friends and guests, like I offered you this morning. And I'm really big into soil health and cover crops, so I have like, yeah, I can even show you guys some if you want quick. So like this is called sun hemp, this nice yellow, and this one will get about 8-10 feet tall given the right conditions, and sorghum Sudan, crimson clover, red clover, some different millets. So there's like 30 different species here.
Wow.
So yeah, this is like a 3-acre corridor here, and then we did like a 4-acre corridor that wraps around so we could, you know, teach people about cover crops and pollinators. We have a couple hives of bees back in the trees that behind the round bales you can't see. So these are not my heifers or bull, but they're a friend, and I am custom grazing them. So I give them, now we're kind of at the end of the paddock, but I give them about a 20-foot break twice a day. And so they're coming in and taking the cream of the crop, if you will, and trampling the rest. And then I'll probably bring the goats through. So this is a way to lay down a lot of armor on the soil, a lot of residue, you know, keep it protected from erosion. And then we'll come back and probably plant like straight sunflowers in one section, pumpkins in another section, and then probably here do another kind of crazy mix of cover crops. So,
wow.
And we do some, this is a brand new fence. I was able to get some cosher on it. And the thing with electric fence, keep going here. I don't want to get you zipped. We do try to carry anywhere from 8 to 10,000 volts on it. So people say you can't train goats, sheep, because they have all that insulation, but if you train a lot, if you have enough current, you can definitely train them. So yeah, this is kind of the expanse of the land that we have. That's our north fence line, and then it kind of wraps. You can see that big chunk of yellow right next to the corn up there. If you see way down there towards almost to the trees, there's a bunch of yellow.
Yeah.
So that's where we actually eventually moved the pigs all the way back there, and they, you know, kind of root stuff up, and we move them every couple days and sell our, you know, premium pastured pork. So then behind them, I just throw a bunch of sunflowers and grasses and stuff, and that's what's flushed out. Yeah, and so then about a month ago, we actually did like a customer appreciation. Had a bunch of family friends over, like roasted one of our pigs, butchered another one to do like appetizers. So had like 200 some people on the farm, so that was kind of a big deal. So that was kind of a neat way to celebrate getting the farm, because last year we didn't do, we didn't do anything because of COVID, So
I suppose, yeah.
yeah. So that was a lot of fun, and we're direct marketing our pork and our broiler chickens, our eggs. We've started out with 10 turkeys. There's a bunch more out here. And so we have opportunity for people to basically stay here, experience the farm. We do pretty much daily tours, taking people out on to see the critters. A lot of people have never held a chicken or picked their own eggs, so. You've never done it?
No.
Okay, well then we better make it a pit stop.
That's why we picked this place.
Okay.
It's something unique that
Sure.
we've not done before. So
Yep.
actually, I've never done like a vertical type thing. It's always
Oh.
a hotel, so it's the total.
Yeah. So you guys actually book through VRBO or Airbnb?
It was RBO.
Okay. Yep. So yeah, this has kind of been part of a dream, and it's been in the works for quite a while. So I do a lot of work with farmers, direct marketing, but also helping them convert their farms from like traditional corn and soybeans to a grass-based system. So that's what we did here. There's a couple documentaries. One's called The Biggest Little Farm, that was very instrumental in helping us craft vision. And then 3 years ago, I went on tour with like Gabe Brown, Ray Archuleta, and some of these well-known regenerative advocates, and actually interviewed Gabe Brown on a dare. And that's how my YouTube channel started. So,
okay, cool.
Come here, Penny. So I took that on a dare from a few buddies at church, and that video has about 60,000 views or something like that. Hey, girl. Yeah. Yeah, this is Penny and Polly. Oh yeah, you can pet her. We just bought them. So this one she's 18. Penny, and the kids can literally just hop up on her back and ride her. So, yep. So that's Penny. This is Polly. Polly's actually pregnant, so she'll have a new one in spring. So I'm actually not a horse person, but I kind of caved and said, well, we can have a couple horses. So.
Sure, yeah, a lot of work.
Yep.
So how long have you been here?
We bought this the week before COVID hit.
Oh, wow.
March of 2020.
Yep.
And we actually almost didn't look at this farm because of the buildings. I really wanted land to work with. But then we got together with the owners. They were actually only had the building site for sale, but we were able to kind of share some ideas, some of my passion for farming, and all of a sudden, having a couple Airbnb rentals or VRBO rentals was very a neat way to cash flow the farm, but also something that my wife, she's really big into hospitality and decorating, and so this was a really kind of the Lord pretty much opened up a way, I think, to get here.
Yeah.
So it's been a short journey, but we've accomplished a lot in that time.
Good.
So.
Are you kind of from the area originally, or where?
So my wife and I are both Wisconsinites. Our previous property was up just north of La Crosse by Galesville. It was just a few acres out in the country. We weren't farming. But I was raised on a farm, a cow-calf farm where we did grazing, and I showed cattle. My wife's family ranches out in California, and we homeschool our 5 kids, and we really wanted to essentially find a place where we could do what I promote on my day job, as far as helping farmers transition.
Awesome.
And here's Talia. So she's our friendly guard dog. She's a lot of bark and no bite. So she'll stay here, but yeah. Talia. Here's one of the kids' favorites. This is Chicory.
Oh.
So again, when I planted this to to our pasture mix, there was like 20 different species that I planted out here.
Yeah, I was
and-
gonna say this is all stuff you planted then.
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of this stuff people would call like weeds, but when you do the right kind of like adaptive grazing management, you know, with the cows or with the goats first, they'll take that right down, you know, and they can really create some awesome pasture. So this was actually mowed, the first end of June, I guess, taken all off for feed. Actually, those bales there are from here.
Oh.
And so this is all regrowth that now I'm grazing, you know, so. Yeah, so let's go find a chicken or So there's about 120, well, there's a couple roosters that have their own little clutch away from
Yeah.
where they're supposed to be, but these are our hen wagons. And so the blue one actually has like a roll-out egg box where the eggs lay, or the hens lay and the eggs just roll away so they stay clean. And my wife is big on diversity. I'm big on diversity as far as, you know, all the different mixes of forages that we're using, and so we have lots of different colorful chickens.
Wow.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. We'll see if we can get one of the kids' favorite ones. Actually, I'll feed them, and then 120 hens and 23 goats. This is Chatty. This one was raised in the, he was a bottle baby in the house, so yeah, he's
Wow.
really tame. Or she, they're all girls actually. Oh, you can, yeah, I agree. she's really fine. Yeah. So let's see if I can catch it. We have to feed the chickens underneath the wagons because otherwise the goats and the sheep eat all the grain, which I don't want them to.
Sure.
We're trying to raise the goats with no grain and no worming, which is very different, you know. Here's one of the kids' favorites.
Oh wow, look at that.
That's quite a mohawk. I don't even know what
Yeah.
kind of chicken it is, but
Oh
yeah.
wow.
You want to hold it?
Sure. Hey, do you want to hold it, Allison?
Yeah, you can hold it. They're
That
fine.
means
They're not,
you got it
Okay.
there.
I guess I'm
you can all hold it. That's fine.
Okay.
Just tuck its wings down.
Oh, hi. It's okay. It's okay. Oh, okay.
Like I know what you had for lunch.
Okay, I'm
She's,
sorry.
oh, you're not gonna hurt them. They're fine. Trying to see where there's some silkies. Well, we can go do the eggs, but so we move these trailers try to do it every day or every other day.
Oh, really?
Yep, because they roost in here at night, and so what do? They go to the bathroom and drop their nutrients.
Yeah.
And so we're utilizing these, and we actually have a couple old vintage farmhaul tractors in an Alice Chambers that we pull them with, so people can. It's part of the experience to have a tractor. They're all in the shed, but we can get them out later maybe.
I'm trying to eat it.
Yeah, it's chatty. So we can go look. So here are all the goat ladies. These are all does or doelings. The big ones are 100% boar. The little ones in the middle are like half dairy, half boar. There's some that are 100% Kiko, which are again a meat goat, and then the white ones there's a couple that have like wattles. Those are Savannah goats. So we're gonna use these actually to like graze the fence lines where all the brush is, and then take care of like a bunch of invasive species. Actually, the kids bought all the goats, so they kind of as a business opportunity.
Okay.
So we'll have them bred and kid. They'll be able to kid in probably May, but we'll target. So we'll see if we can get a few eggs. This is, well, the kids didn't close it, but I have a broody hen. So she's not gonna let me pick the eggs, but yeah, normally we get about, so this is actually their ramp that they use to hop in or fly up, but. So yeah, the kids come out and pick, and we do egg deliveries once a week to La Crosse to a couple spots, and my wife has these nice packaged little boxes that say happy hens from Heart and Soil Ridge and eggs. So, but yeah, usually we have like green and like olive and some blue ones, but some of those hens are just.
Do they taste different?
No, well, I mean, these eggs taste a lot different than.
They're not like stored.
Right. I mean, they're out here getting insects. Every time we move them, they kind of stay around. They pick all the insects and they, pick at some of the forages. So they're definitely a different. You can definitely see it when you crack the eggs, but also the flavor.
Isn't the shell always harder?
Yep, shell's always harder. I was gonna try to find a silkie for you guys, but we'll see. This is one of the roosters. Let's go see if we can find a silkie. The kids have a lot of these named, but so yeah, there's like silver and ninja and so this little gray one here that's all like a fluffer. That's what a silkie. So there's like a gray one like that, a couple gray ones. There's a 100% white one. Oh, here's a black. Yeah, here's a silkie right here. This little black one. See how she's all fluffy? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and then when I come out here in the morning and move these, or at night, the goats, like this one right here, this Savannah, she climbs right up, climb right on the four-wheeler, and they love it. So.
Do they ever fight with each other?
Yeah, when we first got them, and they were starting to determine their pecking or goat order, whatever you want to call it, So,
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. So our long-term plan is the rest of the farm actually is all that woods and all the cropland there is to work with that landowner to buy that. We're going to start renting it hopefully soon, maybe a couple years, and then the idea is to run some of the pigs through the woods, and they do some rooting around and then remove them. And then you can get rid of a lot of the invasive buckthorns and different species, and then take some of the poor trees down with a chainsaw and open it up for a savanna type setup. So getting more light in the canopy and leaving the hickories and the oaks and.
Okay. Well.
So that's the idea. So yeah. So this is a pretty you have red clover, obviously dandelion, but just lots of different. There's probably, I think, 15 different species of grasses and clovers that I planted here to have a real diverse, essentially smorgasbord for our animals, and then the nutrient density that you see that comes out of that, and, the quality of product, obviously speaks for itself. And so, so we actually just butchered 4 of our hogs that we now have available for bacon, pork chops, all the different cuts. And so we're starting to sell those and have about 20 broilers left, or maybe 30. We did 250 this year.
We know.
Meat
got
chickens.
A big giant smoker out there for you.
Yeah, well, that's actually that's actually an old wood boiler that used to heat all the buildings.
Oh wow. Looks like a smoker.
It is, and that's but it's kind of shot. So, but yeah, we used to. The water. There's those big solar panels on top of the pole shed. The water used to preheat there, go to the wood boiler, get heated, and then feed 4 of the buildings on the farm. Actually, so that was the primary way of heating. Oh, wow. But 4 semi-loads of wood was too much to cut per winter. So this is kind of our classroom, but our home. We're just bringing all the feed in the last couple days for winter. So I don't know if you guys have any questions, or we can walk and talk.
Keep you busy, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually stepping away from my full-time job later this month to farm full-time and do some education, and I do some consulting across the Midwest with farmers, but this will allow me to do more of that, and I'm big on trying to help farmers network and learn from each other, so that's the YouTube channel, part of the reason, interviewing farmers and sharing what I'm learning, so yeah.
So I don't know if I caught where in Wisconsin that you're from.
So I was raised near Stevens Point is where I was raised.
Oh, sure.
Right in the middle. I don't know are you guys from Wisconsin? I guess I didn't
Well,
ask.
I was born in Eau Claire.
Okay, so we went to school at Eau Claire.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So, and we lived there till 2010, I guess.
So like UWEC or?
Yep. So yeah, here's a nice. So we have some, my kids are here, they might take a bite of that. It's a radish, and we have purple top turnips, and so the deer and the cows will, eat the tops, and then, as it gets later, they'll actually dig this up and eat it, too. So If they had salt, I'd offer you guys some. So, so Stevens Point, and I remind everybody that before the hail, all the buildings were yellow, including the house, and they all had green roofs, so that we could help people understand and remember that our loyalties to the Packers.
Oh.
Packers was very visual, are very evident, you know. So.
That's funny.
Yeah, so we have there's a water line that runs underneath this fence all the way out to where those sunflowers are. And so we have water every 300 feet that we move the tanks around. So that's how we're able to, a lot of people want to have their cattle lane back or, dig ponds. But this is a fresh supply of water, and it's really an effective way to utilize animals on the land. Usually my daughters, when they're out here helping me move animals, they're picking flowers and bouquets and things like that, especially actually we can maybe walk through that. Come on, girls. Come on, Polly.
So I didn't know if maybe they had grown up here.
No, come on, girl.
So they kind of take to it pretty fast, huh?
Yeah.
They look like they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, they really love the farm.
So now is this on yours?
This
side?
Actually that old trailer is kind of the line fence, but
All right.
kind of where we'll actually climb through the fence here. Actually, I don't have my thing. We can't climb through it. I have a remote that shuts the fence off wherever I'm at. So.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, like I said, this was all a sea of sunflowers. When would that have been? First part of July, or middle of July, all full bloom. And now you can barely find a head in here. But then you have like all the yellow now, that's sun hemp, and you have like this is a millet, sorghum Sudan, like crimson, there's a whole bunch of different things that I planted just to kind of observe and see how the cattle, graze, what they prefer, and very alternative to leave 7 acres, when you have high dollar rents that you could be renting it, but part of it's again to build the soil and have a classroom to show people what we're doing and why, and so. But yeah, if I had brought my remote, we can just there's 9,000 volts on now. I just hit a switch, it shuts the whole thing down, pick the wire up, crawl through it, and we're good. But that's in my other pants. So.
Yeah, I'm sure you told the kids stay away from that.
Well, they know how to operate they've all gotten shocked, so they not intentionally, but I mean they brush up against it. So.
Yeah.
But I kind of call this the jungle mix because, if we would have had a little more moisture, it would be, 10, 12 feet tall. And,
Oh, wow.
we were a little bit starved for moisture mid-season, so.
So are you doing more of that than you normally would just to kind of catch up, get the soil in a better spot than you found it?
I mean, we did this kind of similar thing over here last year, essentially, to kind of, because the roots are very important as far as, communicating with the soil and not just having corn roots or soybean roots, but having, different kind of roots, that, because there's all this communication that's going on, and we have a lot to learn about that. So, so we did that same thing here actually twice, and we just take it for forage, and then essentially try to take the soil from like more of a bacterial-driven system to more of a fungal-driven system. So that's a good way. Using cover crops, but also using animals to, graze.
Oh, what's your stuff?
Yep. Graze, but then, you think about when an animal grazes, it tears the plant off. So there's that ripping effect. There's their saliva that's interacting with the soil, with the, all the microorganisms. Then there's the urine, the dung, their hair, that has biology on it. So it's kind of an attempt to start healing the soil and pushing it back in a positive direction, like we call regenerative farming. So instead of losing soil, we're trying to build soil by having more and more roots that are going deeper and deeper into the soil profile, bringing up nutrients so we don't have to rely on, synthetic fertilizer, any of that type of stuff. So here's one of our friend turkeys, and this was. Now, since we got the goats about a month ago, you can see that they like to hop on everything and tear stuff down. So this was we actually had our broilers in here, and it was a big, nice hoop, and we'd move them every couple days too. But and the calf hutch is actually for Talia, our guard dog, because she never leaves the field. She's actually sleeps like cuddles up right with the sheep. But she's here to keep hawks away from them. You know, she'll once she gets older, be able to kill a coyote type of thing. So
Wow.
yeah. So
Yeah. Do you feed that dog? Is it fine?
I do feed her. Yep. So she gets fed. Yep. So some people actually are really kind of into it and they feed like just raw meat and things like that. But for now, she's just getting dog food. So I shouldn't say just, but she's getting dog food, you know. But yeah, it's kind of a unique system where we, you know, have all the chickens out here just like this one is out, you know, scratching through. Actually, when we first got the sheep, or the goats, we isolated them here to kind of let them get used to the surroundings, get used to the dog before we just let them out, because we didn't want any of them to go through the fence and not come home. So you know, she's doing her job by scratching, you know, looking for bugs, earthworms, you know, turning up the manure. You know, when we have 120 of them, that's a pretty big impact, you know. So all those horse apples and cow pies we were stepping over, they're gonna, you know, basically do the cycling for us or help, you know. So that's the idea. One way, it's very different, you know, to have a couple different places for people to come stay, experience the farm. You know, the one rental, you know, the one you guys are in the cottage, you know, that one was here before. So it's just a neat way to give tours and help people see the land, experience it, you know, get away from things.
So did you put the nicer one on then?
The only one, so there's a little one that's the bungalow. That one was actually not even a unit. It was just attached to like have parties and stuff. So actually the whole farm for like the first 3 or 4 years before we bought it was like you could rent the whole thing, like sleep like 75 people, like for a family reunion or wedding, even the house we live in.
Oh, really?
Yep. So the big one is actually, that was an old pole shed and another building that the previous owner sandwiched together and then dug it out. So that's how that is. And so yeah, these are the girls. These are heifers, Red Angus and Limousine heifers. And so with these reels and step-in posts and just, you know, there's like a 1/4 mile of fence on there, we just keep giving them breaks and, you know, you can see where they've been, and, you know, then we'll bring the goats through. So
Wow.
and people say, well, there's no other fence out there. I said, yeah, but you got to remember there's 8,000 or 9,000 volts on that wire, and once they've hit it a few times, they don't want to mess with it. So and they line up. Like this morning, I think I had that yellow reel across, and, you know, they're standing, you know, like this far away from us, waiting to move 10 feet to get new forage, you know, because they get it twice a day. So
Wow.
So yeah, these aren't cows that I own. Like I said, I do custom grazing, so you know, I get paid a flat rate per day, but then I get to take somebody else's cattle and get their nutrients and the impact of their hooves in the land. That's all important. And, you know, this farmer actually had run out of grass on one of his farms, so he was going to have to start feeding bales in August, and so we got a deal together. And
One has like a marking on it. Is that?
that's a brand. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, that's I think that bull is from South Dakota. So yeah, he's a bull. The other ones are heifers. So yep,
He
6.
just sounds bigger.
Yeah, well, if you look at his head, he's a big fella. Oh, here come the turkeys. They like to escape.
So you probably get your own turkey for Thanksgiving.
Yes, we'll have a turkey, and we have, I think, 3 or 4 left that they're actually going to get butchered next week. Then we'll sell some and give some away to some neighbors and whatnot. So
Is that kind of hard on the kids? Do they? I mean, I'm sure they understand that.
yeah, they've gotten used to it. Yeah, I mean, they're not. Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, they're used to it. I mean, they ride the pigs, and then a week or 2 later, the pigs get in the trailer, and, you know, pork chops come home a week later. So. But yeah, and then we have the couple fox red labs that the kids own one. Well, the one that you were petting, Rosie, and then Chrissy and I own. And so we have a couple litters of puppies every year, and I think there's 3 or 4 left in this litter that are finding new homes here the next week or 2. So, but yeah, and these ones, people think they're like domestic or wild turkeys because they look like it, but they're really actually they're domestic, and they. Actually, a lot of mornings when I come out, like the toms, they are full strut, you know, and displaying and stuff. So, And then the hens, all the laying hens, actually that's kind of a dual purpose. My son built that greenhouse so the hens live in there and there's enough of them to keep it warm, you know. Yeah.
Flowers.
Yep. So she wants to do classes with that, and yeah. So
Are you gonna maybe host weddings?
I'm not. Well, we've hosted like partial, like, you know, the groom's side of the family, or the, you know, they'll rent all of them, all 3 of the units. So, and we're actually to a point now where we try to like block down like Sundays and Mondays, because that way we get a little rest from people. Just because, you know, we love hosting people. That's why we have the farm. You know, Heart and Soil Ridge is, you know, the heart of hospitality and the heart to, you know, just let people experience farm life, rural life. And then the soil part is that I'm big into soil and helping people understand that. So that's kind of the name, but we also, as a family, want to have some breaks too, you know. So, but yeah, so anyway, so yeah, you guys, if you want to wander around or whatever, you want to go pick yourself a bouquet. Remember to give this back so I don't forget.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.